Hi everyone, welcome to the 22nd episode of the Zicast. As always, I'm your host Ryan Ziaks, and today I'm joined by filmmakers Carli Sanger and Jack Muscatello. Say hi guys.
Hello.
Hi.
And I'd also like to shout out episode 3 guest Ryan Agnello for filling in the TD. Thank you so much, Ryan. So I think you guys have a great idea as to what the Zicast is all about. So I feel like we could just get into things. So I'd like to ask you guys to tell us a bit about yourselves.
You want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. Do you want like a general overview, I guess?
Sure, yeah, general overview.
So, feels weird like being called like a filmmaker in like a public setting like this. Feels kind of cool. But yeah, I've been in, I guess, the film world here at Quinnipiac since I started here. Primarily with the Chronicle. That's really been my main area of focus, more so in the video space, but also social media, and that's really opened up an entire new world for me. But yeah, I love editing, love shooting, love directing. Camera's always been my thing. Started that in high school, doing a lot of like sports videos and things like that, sort of like highlight reels. And then that transitioned into here, more journalistic stuff, which I never expected to like, but I think the Chronicle really opened my world to that in a way that was really inspiring, and it's helped me really grow a portfolio that I'm really proud of. And then this year, working with Carli on our capstone project has been so much fun. It's been a long time coming. It's actually premiering on Friday this week, so it's right around the corner. And it's just been super nice to work together and to see even her creative process since the beginning, because she scripted it and then also directed it. So having the privilege to edit it and work with her to kind of refine the vision that she brought to us over a year ago now has been really inspiring. So yeah.
Awesome.
Well, that was very nice. Thank you. Yeah, hi. I've also been in the film world only for the 3 years. I didn't start it in high school at all. I'm mostly focused on TV, so I naturally found Q30 my freshman year and started with #that, which is the entertainment news show. And then my second year, I became a producer for the show. And then this year, I've been the vice president for the station, which has been very fun and very rewarding and very great to work with everybody. And yeah, the capstone has been taking up the majority of my brain for the last year now, for sure. Definitely been a passion project, and it's been great. The group that I had to work with was really awesome.
Yes, I can very much attest to that. It was a lot of fun. So you guys gave us a great overview, so now we can kind of get into things. So I'd like to ask you guys how you both met and knew you found someone special.
The story of how we met is very, very funny, actually.
Yeah.
But we do live in the same town. We both live in Massapequa on Long Island, and we went to middle school together. But we didn't exactly meet there. He did take my childhood best friend to the 6th grade dance.
Yes. So I knew her name through her, but never actually met, I don't think, in person.
We didn't meet in person. Like, we probably passed each other in the hallway, but
Yeah.
What a stud.
But we came here, and in our second day of class, we were both sitting in our classroom. I'm gonna put you on blast. This story is very funny.
Oh yeah.
And it was still in the very COVID world that we lived in, and we had to wear masks in all of our classes, and he was staring at me, and I was like, I waved, and then he waved back, and then I looked away, and then I looked back at him, and he was still staring at me, and I was like, hi, hello, and then he was like, hi, and I was like, what's up? And he was like, you're Carli Sanger, right? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, it's Jack. And I had no idea what that meant. And then he was like, Muscatello. And I was like, oh, I went to middle school with you. And then we just became friends from there.
I didn't think I was like staring, but definitely came, I guess, across that way. We were in 275, and I was like, because over the mask, I just saw her eyes. And I thought I saw her briefly at the freshman barbecue, which is like the big welcome thing that we did freshman year at Sleeping Giant. And I was like, I think I recognize her from middle school. But I went to a private high school, so we didn't see each other for years. So then I was like, she's sitting in class, realizing that she's in the film world, I guess, with me. And I was like, trying to guess her name. And I guess in that, I was coming across like the weirdo in the corner, just like, who are you? But yeah, that's how we first started talking.
Yeah, those awkward like when you see someone and don't know if it's them.
Yes.
So you like look at them for a little too long.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean.
Yeah, that's what that was.
Yep.
It's funny, yeah. Humble beginnings.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than, I guess, meeting in Ledges, like I've heard from a lot of people.
Yes,
So-
yeah. She lived in Troop, and I was in the Ledges 3+1 cohort over there. So, yeah, we spent a lot of time together because we were in pretty much every class, at least film-wise, together for that first semester. And then right around January or so, we got together and then made it official in February. So
Fun.
Yeah.
When I joke, there's no place more romantic than Ledges, but I guess Route
Yeah.
275 is giving it a run for its money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's close quarters over there in Ledges, but a lot of fun memories too.
I bet. So continuing onwards, talking about film, what drove you both to studying communications and doing the things you do?
So I was pretty lost with what I wanted to do. Like I always knew that I wanted to be a part of television, but for some reason when I was growing up, I was like, that's not possible. Like I didn't understand what roles were like other than like director or actor. Like I didn't know anything. And if you go back to like my 6th grade yearbook, and it says that I'm going to work in television, like that's what it said. But I tried to like kind of put it out of my head through high school because I was like, that's not realistic. And then during the quarantine, I got really into watching just like every show that I hadn't watched yet. And then I got to the documentary on how they made Friends. And when I was watching that, I was like, I could do that. And that's legitimately how it started. Just from the quarantine and watching TV and watching like behind the scenes stuff. And like I was like, I love bloopers. I love watching the behind the scenes. Like I love everything like that. I was like, I could do that. I think I could do that. That's how it started.
Yeah, for me, it was pretty much in high school when I kind of confirmed for myself this is what I wanted to do. And it started with just practicing with the camera. I had started taking pictures kind of first, but it was very much a hobby, I'd say in middle school. Started with a camera for Christmas and then went from there. But high school really was able to kind of try multiple different things, try out advertising because I did a lot of work for the school. I helped start it was technically a film club, but it involved into much more like a media space. So we did podcasts, we did video work, we did long form content, short form stuff, social media as well. And then that really kind of blossomed into something towards my senior year. COVID kind of messed things up a little bit, but we still kept making things. And a little group that we kind of found together with one of the teachers there. And it really opened up my technical world. So I'd always been interested in film, but really my technical ability and interest in more the technical side of things. And then here at Quinnipiac, for me, found an immediate home in how kind of small and quaint the film program is, which felt nice. Felt like a really nice collection of people to work together with, and then also to meet new people through that. And then for me, my ultimate goal is narrative productions, and that would be the biggest dream. But I have been trying to put my eggs in as many baskets as possible, just to have the work experience in advertising and journalism and everything else.
Definitely, the well-rounded skill sets always suit you. And I know you've already been dabbling in narrative filmmaking,
Yes.
seeing Baby Shoes. So it's great that you started early, starting in high school. Wish I did that. And we're able to kind of grow those skills over time. Because I know, Carli, you and I are both late bloomers in the world of learning how to be filmmakers.
It feels like it, yeah.
But you got so much time. It's still so early. You don't have to figure everything out right away. So
yeah. And you've certainly made a great impression. And certainly learned a lot. So that's been great to see.
Thank you.
From Baby Shoes. So now, moving onwards about things you have done, I'd like to ask you about doing things like theater and singing and kind of what that meant to you.
So, music has always been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I started taking voice lessons when I was 6, and I started competitively singing and what that means is in New York State, there's NYSSMA, which is basically an audition at the end of every school year. And when you're younger, it's only for all county, just to do an all county choir. It's the best people, quote unquote, in the county. And then as you keep getting older, it just becomes more. So there's all state, all east, all nationals. So I, being the perfectionist that I am, needed to get 100 every year. I needed it. And even when you get later on, the only way that you can get to all state and all east and everything is if you get 100 on NYSSMA. So I did competitively sing, and that was always my outlet. I loved it. I love singing. I love Broadway, everything about it. I grew up going to Broadway shows with my family and stuff, and I've been very fortunate enough to carry singing into my college career, and I really pivoted. Growing up, I played 4 sports, so that was my life, and singing was oh, this is a fun thing that I also get to do. But then I made the decision because I was deciding whether I was gonna try to go to school for a sport or not, and I could have gone, but I was like, I think that I want to focus more on my music when I'm in school and like my schoolwork, obviously. But like, I was like, I'm ready to pivot. So I've been very fortunate. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. To quote like a funny story, during a Q30 karaoke, I always expect the people who go up there to like not be very good.
Mhm.
And then you went up there and I'm like, oh, she sings. And then I
Yeah.
figured, and then I think I know you're a part of, are you part of like a troupe here
I
that
am.
sings?
I am. I'm the musical director of Notable.
Well, that's something notable. and I'm sure that helps you too, singing. There's definitely a lot of discipline in regards to that, and I'm sure that carries over into a lot of your other work.
Definitely.
And speaking of a lot of our other work, Jack, I'd like to ask you about your work for the Chronicle and as a photographer and kind of what that means to you as a storyteller.
Yeah, so the photo side of things for me is definitely the most relaxing because the way I look at it is all observational. You don't have, at least in the journalism space, you don't have any say or control over what's happening. And you can't like ask for something to be redone. You can't ask for a retake. You can't stage anyone. It's really just purely observing as things happen, which I think is nice because to look back on things like that, I always love, even if I'm doing more like stylized shoots for things or even in the film space, working on a really technical shot and staging out every second and every movement. I really like the candid stuff because that's real, especially if people don't know that a camera's right in their face. You know, they may know you're there, and it's probably that good thing that they know that you're there, ethically speaking, but they still can just do what they're doing, and you're documenting them, whether it's even for a portrait. I've always loved doing portrait work if it's like someone in their space, in their world. But for me, my bread and butter has always been event coverage. I've always loved just taking a camera and going out. Really, most of my work's been in video, but I've tried to do more photojournalism work as I've been towards the end of my time with the Chronicle, and it's been so nice just to see even just like smaller events get covered and just see people in their element, in their space that they're either professionals in or just really passionate about, and then telling their story, getting to know them, and then trying to figure out what an audience wants to get from that. Because at the end of the day, you got to answer the basic questions, you know, who, what, when, where, why, and how. And then make sure that comes across in the most objective way possible. But you still have that artistic flair with your pictures, so choosing what to photograph from where, how close up and how far back, you know, to be more intimate, to be more distant, and what that means, because it's all going to be an emotional reaction with someone looking at a picture. And same thing even goes for video. So for me, it's always been really nice practice to see, even just on a basic human level, what works for a story. And I've learned things in photography that I've taken over to cinematography and applied to my projects, just because I really like how a certain lens looks with someone's face. And, oh, I want to try that in a video form, or vice versa. Or I like how shooting through this bush looks for this specific moment in this spot on campus. Let's try that with video maybe, and see what's interchangeable and what's not. So I think it's a really nice way to practice, and just to get, like, the way I kind of think of it is just to get reps with your technical skills, and also with like your instincts. Like, you're looking at something as it happens, and how do you capture it? And there's no rule book, there's no guide. There's technical rules of how to expose, but other than that, it's on you. And so that's where really the creativity comes out. And that's where it's really enjoyable for me. Where video, because you're in more things are happening, whether it's movement and then exposure and then focus. I feel like photo, you are almost your own gimbal in a way. And so for me, I've always loved photos, a more relaxing way to observe things as they happen, especially on campus. I feel like there's always so many things going on and so many interesting people. So it's always been really, really satisfying work.
Yeah. You highlighted a really interesting contrast between like more like journalistic, like photo taking or video making, and then narrative filmmaking. Because I actually I'm going to be working at Quinnipiac Productions next year, so like filming events. So
Awesome.
I think that's interesting, because I'm one of the big reasons I'm doing that is to help better my filmmaking skills. I was thinking like the difference between that and narrative filmmaking. It's like, are there any stark differences you've noticed, or anything that like helps?
Yeah, I would say really the big thing is just being quick on your feet to react to things as they happen, because you can't do it twice. Like, for example, the Flo Rida concert, like when he's out there in the crowd surfing and you're in the crowd with people, and I have some friends who are in productions now and they're just reacting to those things. You got to be confident in your technical skills to know that what the shot you're getting is usable, it's clear to see, but also be confident in yourself to know that you're able to just pivot as you go. And so I think that really makes the set life for a narrative film, which I found to be very slow, surprisingly, over the years, and not a bad way, but just it's slower and it's more refined, it's more methodical. I feel like it makes you more makes you have a greater ability to adapt to things that maybe happen on set, because things always go wrong, things always change. Plans always change with a location, with an actor's interpretation of a script, with ideas that the crew brings to the table that you then have to take, especially if you're directing. So I feel like if you have that ability to pivot, doing a live coverage of event or something, that'll carry over really well into the narrative space and make you more aware of things as they happen, and then maybe that'll inspire you for an even better version of the scene that you're already planning. So I feel like it's definitely something I've tried to look out for as I've done more work over the years.
Interesting, because if you could do something fast, you can do it slow.
Yes.
So to speak. So it's interesting, like the sort of read and react nature of just getting something in the moment. And that's the kind of magic of just, like you said, like capturing something right then and there. You can't ask for another take or to reset.
Yeah, or you can, and they'll just be really upset.
Yeah.
They won't be excited about that. So
yeah.
You got to get it first.
That's very interesting. And then you bring that over into a film set that, like you said, is very, very structured. And it can kind of help you, because film sets can be very overwhelming. But if you're, filming flow riding and carried through the crowd, it probably won't feel as overwhelming. So that's something that's very interesting to think about. So moving onwards, Carli, I'd like to ask you about what being vice president of Q30 meant to you and taught you, and what it taught you.
It's been really great. I think that, like, reflecting back now as I'm in my last week of it, I think the best part of it was definitely getting to work with a lot of new people, because I was in my little entertainment bubble. And it's not that I never spoke to anybody that was on the other shows. I did if I was in the media suite and they were, and then there was a group conversation happening, or there was like a sports person that wanted to come on the show, like then we were friendly after and stuff. But now getting to work as the vice president, I worked with the beat reporters, and that is mostly sports. Of course, there's some entertainment, but it was mostly sports. And I was, like, shocked at how many people I didn't know. Like, I was like, this is my third year. Like, I know people. Like, I just won't know the freshmen, and nobody else will, too, so it'll be fine. And then I would think that everyone I didn't know was a freshman. And then my our sports director Dylan would be like no, like, he's older than you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I think that definitely that was the best part, like getting to work with the rest of the cabinet was really great, and getting to see them weekly and have our little inside jokes and stuff like that was great. And other than that, I just really enjoyed taking, like, an organizational aspect, because I wanted to try it out, because I was deciding between going for executive producer for hashtag or going for vice president, and I was like, this is the most contained experience I could have to understand if I would enjoy the organizational aspect of it and, like, the more corporate aspect of it rather than the hands-on aspect. And I think that really helped to see in college, because while I do miss the hands-on, I'm always going to love that, I do also have an appreciation for the organizational aspect. And I think that I wouldn't trade it for sure.
Yeah, I had Ben Kane on the other day, and we were talking about, like, the difference between being, more administrative in cabinet versus, like, making content, and the kind of interesting struggles between that. And you bring up corporate. Like, when I first heard of cabinet, I immediately thought of corporate from The Office. They always bring up corporate.
It sounds like it. When you're on it, I promise it's not. It's not like that. Yeah, no. But it does feel like it. Like, I always felt like cabinet was so far away. Even when I had friends on it. Like, my second year, 2 of my best friends in Q30 were on the cabinet. And I was still like, oh, but they're different. Like, they're like the big guys up there. But, like, now that I'm on it, I'm like, it's me? People think that me? That's stupid.
High society.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And it's a funny reminder is that when we met was when I interviewed for film beat reporter with Ryan Agnello, entertainment director. So it's funny the full circle nature. That wasn't even planned.
Yeah, I didn't even know who you were.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy that we've gotten to talk a lot this year and everything.
Of course. And that built over into making baby shoes. So I'd like to ask you guys the process of making baby shoes and what that meant to you, because I know it's quite literally your baby.
Wow, that was good. A good pun. Yeah. I'll start with it. So I was the writer and director, and I'm very, very fortunate to say that. And I love this project, and I love everyone I worked on it with, and everyone did so incredible and great. And down to our PAs, like you were really great. Everyone really helped. The set was so much fun too. Like the vibe was so much fun. But starting out, I wrote this short story. It was not a screenplay. It was a short story when I was 17. I had 10 minutes in English class. At the end of the class, we had been talking about the Ernest Hemingway poem, supposed Ernest Hemingway poem. We don't really know about that. And it's For Sale Baby Shoes Never Worn. So in our last 10 minutes of class, my teacher said, make a backstory for it. So I did, and it was a little different than this for sure. It was more of a gut punch. And then the professors here went, no, we're not doing that. So I had to change it a little bit. But then we were forming our group, and we formed our group around April last year.
Yeah, before the end of the year, definitely.
Yeah, like around April. 2 of our people were in LA. We were really just communicating in a group chat that we had made on a whim, being like, hey, we could do a group. Like, we'll do a capstone group. That'll be great. So I was saying that, like, I had a couple scripts. I like writing. Like, I'll make some things. If anyone has anything, like, everyone also write. If you have any ideas, like, we'll all have a say in this for sure. And in that, I was writing a lot more, just trying to find something that felt right. So then over the summer, I was on a plane, and my TV was the only TV on the plane that did not work, which was great. So in that, I was like, well, I don't feel like listening to music because I've been doing that, and I don't feel like playing an app on my phone because I just don't. And so I took out my laptop, and I was like, I could write something. So I just like stared at Final Draft, and then I remembered that I had that short story, Baby Shoes, and I wrote it into a screenplay. And then when I touched ground, I sent it over, and everyone was like, this is good. Like, we like this. So that's how it started. And then I made, I think it was 26 drafts fall semester until we got to the one that we got script locked. Yeah.
Wow. The more you know. And what an amazing process of that. And of course, writing process. A lot of best writers rewrite. And I'm glad that you were able to bring something from your high school English class and bringing it here and forming it in the group. And because it was just so much fun on set. So much fun. I was trying to get on the days where I wasn't scheduled to get on.
Yeah, you came on your birthday.
I did come on my birthday, yeah. Which was fun.
That was crazy and very, very appreciated as well.
Yes.
Oh, there's no place I would rather be. And of course, we had a lot of fun actors as well, like your bestie Claire.
Oh, I love Claire. I love her. We still text.
Yeah, and she was incredible, and it was just such a great experience to be. It's really like my first professional set. I've done productions with QFS, but I felt like this was even a step above with what everyone was doing. And of course, like working a lot with you, Jack, like when you were editing, I was like over your shoulder. I know Taylor got a funny shot of that where it's like,
yes, we're all like hunched around in like the back corner. I think it was at the was that the supermarket, or was it?
It was the supermarket.
Yeah.
And I was bringing your SD card back and forth.
Yep. Yeah, all that offloading. Oh yeah. That was fun.
When the random vents would go off by the cashier, we had to like hold.
I think that'll be a trauma response for him right now. So.
Yeah. We've spent a lot of time doing noise reduction in post, just because every shot, every fan noise, somehow it was oscillating somehow. So like even just doing some type of general removal for like that frequency wouldn't work, because it would every couple seconds it would like dip out and then come back almost like waves. So it was a giant pain, but it was worth it, because I think it was a big learning experience in the best way. And like I said, that set was a lot of fun, even to not be right there with Carli and AJ, seeing it from afar and then seeing the results of their work when they couldn't quite see it just yet, because they were seeing on a tiny monitor on the screen. They couldn't really get the full scope of it. Seeing it come together almost on its own as the days went on, even just as I was labeling and takes were coming in. It was really satisfying to see what we had visualized earlier in the fall actually exist now and be as physical as it can be for a digital file. And then having the privilege to put it together over the last couple of months, it was definitely some trial and error to see where things would work, but really the structure was there right away. The script was really solid, and we had a really good idea from set that just made my life so much easier just putting it together. And that was really just the fine tweaking, whether it's the music, what type of sound effects we're going to use for certain moments, how to elevate the emotion at times. And then the performances we absolutely loved. Claire was definitely the best as far as how much she brought to the character, but even too for Ian and Hannah, they really complimented Claire really well, and it was such a privilege to watch, because like you said, it was also, I'd been on some professional sets before, but to see all the process leading up to that as well, because just showing up as a PA for some random TV show last summer, the summer before, I didn't know who anybody was. I didn't know who the cast were. I had no idea. I didn't know what the process was before that to get them to show up on set. So to see that happen and to watch Carli navigate that, and then we get to set and we see all of them there and they're bringing their A game, and then Carli's there directing, AJ's there with camera, the PA crew around, and just watching this crew function, even just from sort of like an outside point of view, was very satisfying. It was a lot of fun.
It was just a really special thing.
Yeah.
Very, very special memories. Like, I remember setting up that big light fixture.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
With the pin things that would have to like lock in place.
It was fun. It was fun to see everybody. Like, I like weaved around everyone to just be like, hey, how's everyone doing? I'll you know, what a director does on set. But seeing like everyone doing such like random things around that like everyone needs it, was just still so funny. It just like looked like a different environment for every person and every group that I went to. But it was really, really great. And I feel like I was so in it that like I didn't fully see like from your perspective, like seeing like the big picture of it, but I definitely can now. And in the moment, I was very appreciative of everyone and very like, but I was so like focused on like actors, and then how are we gonna do this and how are we gonna do that, and like navigating like troubleshooting and stuff like that I didn't get the big picture of it. And now I definitely do. Like I've thought about it and been like, that was a very well-oiled machine every day. Especially like we had a real big issue on a location one day. Were you there that day?
That was my actual, so that was the day of my birthday.
That was the day of
and I
my
wasn't
birthday.
scheduled to come in.
Right. So, do you know what happened?
I know the place, there was miscommunication with when the supermarket was supposed to be closing.
Yeah, they for some reason, like our manager that we had been talking to wasn't in, and the other manager was like, yeah, so the store owner needs you guys to be out by 11 tonight. We were like, it's gonna be 8:15 when we start filming. We're gonna be here till like 4 a.m. And he was like, no, like you can't. So obviously, as these things happen, it was our biggest day of shooting, our most shots we needed. So immediately I was like, okay, get the actors here as soon as possible. We're setting up, we're getting ready, we're putting everything in our spot. So the second that we can start shooting, we're gonna press record and we're gonna go. I was like, explain to the actors what's happening. I'm gonna explain. AJ and we're gonna go into an aisle and we're gonna figure out how to do this. And then we did finish at like 10:30, I think, that night.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the timing, because we were early almost every day.
Yeah.
In some way,
we were very early every day.
Yeah.
But this day, like, we were like 5 a.m. I think our wrap time was supposed to be like 5:30, and we ended up getting 21 shots done in 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Which is like not real, and I don't know exactly how that happened.
You guys moved.
We moved.
It was fun to watch.
And I was worried about like coming off as hostile that day, and worried about like making it like not a great environment. I've heard that didn't happen. Everyone seemed to have a good time still. We were just like, definitely like, I was like, there's no time to really joke around in between. Like we're not gonna like spend time with this, whatever. Like we're moving, and then we can all laugh about it later, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. But it worked, and I never sensed like frustration or like any form of like discrepancy or any tension. So that was definitely our hardest day, but very rewarding afterwards.
Yeah, and you wouldn't tell either, and like the dailies didn't seem rushed. Like the performances didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like there was that anxiety. I think that came down to you and AJ and even Grace and everybody who was just in the midst of when we got that bombshell of trying to figure it out. I know we met in the back by that table and found out that it was 11:30 instead of 4. But I think we realized too, like when it's a well-oiled machine like that, you really can move. And I think everybody was on the same page of, even when the actors showed up, they knew, okay, we got to get out at this time and we're going to make it work. And it did. It worked really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what a test of yourselves. If you want to get the hands-on experience, that's hands-on experience.
Definitely.
But like you said, like, yeah, well-oiled machine. Got together all the people we, all friends that we all have, all people we know, and just got to work. Like, Carli, you were locked in.
I was.
We all were locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys did that. Like, it's so impressive. And I saw the trailer. I'm hyped. I'm gonna be there on May 3rd.
Awesome.
I'll be there for, of course, baby shoes to see what that looks like. Of course, Oopsie Daisy,
Oh, yes.
Ryan Agnello,
Excited.
and all them, and just to see all of them, to see all the people I've been blessed to get to know, all their hard work be shown. Like, this episode's gonna come out on Sunday, so it'll be after. But I consider the Zicast a time capsule to talk about
Mm-hmm.
this now. I'm just very excited to see what you've all done, and I'm
Yeah.
just very proud of what everyone was able to accomplish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's nice to have heard through the grapevine about different groups. Like, we'd pass in the hallway outside of 275 in School of Business once groups were passing in and out, meeting one-on-one with our professor. And then just even after the sets were done, like, kind of hearing through the mini conversations how it went. And everyone's story is so unique. And I know some of them came from the screenwriting class we took junior year. Some came from over the summer. Some came from more right away in the fall. But everyone's story brought a totally different perspective to the table. And I'm so excited to see, having seen their scripts, got an idea of where they were going. We probably saw like 75% of the way there. So to see that last 25% plus all the visualization, sound, everything else, performances, that how it actually came to be, super excited for that. It's probably one of my favorite times. I didn't go last year, unfortunately. I didn't have the time to with work, but the year before, freshman year, going and only barely knowing some of the seniors, but seeing the quality of work, hearing about how passionate they were about it, how long it took. It was so foreign to me, like, oh, this is a full year and change of work. This sounds crazy. It's super stressful. And it definitely was stressful at times, but I think we paced ourselves out really well, even in the edit. And just to be able to see everyone else's, the culmination of all their work is going to be super nice.
Yeah, it's a labor of love, as
Yeah.
people say.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great thing to look back on, and just, yeah, I'm just very impressed, like, how everything was scheduled, how efficient everything was. That'll only serve us all right as we move onwards. So kind of to get into some more, like, personal questions, I'd like to ask you guys some things that people may not know about you.
Trying to think.
I feel like I said it already, so maybe people do. Maybe I talk about it more than I think. But, like, people don't really know that I played sports here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was my entire life from ages 4 or 3 to 18, just playing sports and, like, at a very competitive level. And I was always on at least, like, 4 teams at once. I was always on the school team. I had a travel team for all of it. And, like, coming here, I remember when I told my best friend that I, like, played basketball, and she was like, what do you mean? She was like, you what? And she was like, you just sing, like, you do, like, the arts and stuff. And I was like, no, like, I do now, but I didn't, like I did, but it wasn't my main focus. And I was like, that's why I'm so competitive. That's also something. I'm so competitive, like, to an absurd degree. And don't laugh. And yeah, and, like, that's where it came from. Like, it came from playing sports from when I could walk. Like, my brother and sister are 9 and 7 years older than me. So they immediately, like, when I started walking, my sister was like, you're playing soccer. And my brother was like, you're playing basketball. And then I started that. And my cousin was like, you're playing lacrosse. So that was kind of, like, immediate for me. And that was just how, like, our family was and how life was and everything. And now, like, I stopped it kind of on a dime, I guess. And when I tell people here, they're like, no. Like, what do you mean? They're like, you're a singer. It's cute. You're a singer. Like, okay. I guess that.
I remember from set, you were asked, someone said, like, what sports did you play? And you replied, gritty ones.
Yes, I did.
I remember.
I actually don't remember that, but that definitely sounds like me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to guess basketball.
I did. I played soccer, basketball, lacrosse, and volleyball.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that helps you, I mean, being competitive. I mean, so much of life is competitive.
Yeah. I'm definitely happy that I'm competitive. Like, that's second nature to me. And, like, I don't have to put anything into that. I just automatically am competitive. Like I have a drive. I'm motivated. And like I've always been like that. Like I somebody said to me freshman year, like, you know, when they say that you have like someone has to like light a fire under you, the fire is always happening. It's constant. Like someone said that to me and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely helped me in every aspect of life.
Definitely. Sorry to cut you off, Jack.
No, that's good. I'd say for me, the one thing that I don't typically advertise too much is I used to play the drums in a band for about 2 to 3 years in middle school, and I had to give it up in high school. I just didn't have the flexibility. I was traveling like 40 minutes a day back and forth to high school, so I didn't have the time after school to really devote to it. And definitely not a regret of mine because I loved everything I did in high school, but there's an alternate timeline where I kept going. And I still have my drum set at home. I still try to play when I can, not nearly as often as I should. But that to me was so freeing. And I think it also, because film even then was always on my mind, even though I didn't have any, at that time anyway, any editing experience. I didn't want to edit. It was not something I ever wanted to touch. Just camera was like my thing. I didn't even want to touch Premiere. It was just not something that was in my wheelhouse. But I think getting so comfortable with rhythm really, really helped, even just pacing in stories. But not to go on a film tangent again. But so back to the drums. For me, it was so rewarding because I was in basically the equivalent of rock band with a couple other people who were in high school at the time. It was different people from outside of my school crew. It was at this place called Rock Underground. It was this music school upstairs above like a physical therapy place, and super nice guy named Ken who was our teacher, and he just got us together and we practiced once a week on Wednesdays for like 2 or 3 hours in the evening, and it was so much fun. And I think my listening taste now is varied. I tend to listen to a lot of instrumental music actually, so not so much lyrical and not so much with drums, but for me that was something that was so satisfying, just getting a beat right and realizing how you don't really have to rely on music notes and written out in sheet music to play. It's really just kind of feeling it. And sometimes you can, even for a song, you have a drum line that's written out, that's how it is, and that's how it's performed in the actual recording. But you can try something different, it'll still work. You can't really change that for a guitar riff, you can't change that for vocals, but for drums you can really improvise. And as long as you're on beat, on time, you can really just kind of feel the music. And jazz for me was something too that I started to explore right before I ended up giving it up, because I did trumpet in elementary school into middle school, and I played a lot of jazz music there. And just like that swing beat and just kind of feeling it fully throughout your whole body without much worry about, oh, what does it say on the sheet music? You're just kind of improvising as you go. That was something that I was so not used to, but I just kind of jumped in with 2 feet and absolutely loved. And yeah, I know anytime I bring up to someone who I'm meeting for the first time, I say I play the drums, they're like, really? You don't seem like a drummer. But yeah, I played the drums for 3 years.
I want to make a Whiplash reference so bad.
Oh yeah, one of my favorite movies.
I will not. It's just not quite my tempo right now.
Yeah.
But
okay. Yep.
But I think drums really interesting because there's of course a rhythm you talked about, the rhythm to that, and of course there's a rhythm to filmmaking, especially to editing, and the way that the shots come together, and the way that of course like cinematic language, the things that are said that aren't said in the film. So I think that's an interesting thing, like to kind of tune your brain into with music, and the way that can move over into film. So talking about film, I'd like to ask you guys your hopes and dreams, whether it be professionally or in general.
I want to, in the dream world, be a showrunner or executive producer for a television network, station, whatever. Yeah, that's definitely my dream, is just going into television. I love writing, and showrunning would be a dream for me. And I'm very excited. I get to work in TV this summer with my internship, so I'm very excited about that.
Oh yeah, with Warner Brothers.
Yes, with Warner Brothers.
And that's so exciting.
Thank you.
Do you actually mind adding a bit about that? I meant to write that in here.
Yeah, what do you want to know?
Like, what exactly will you be doing there?
So I am working on the CNN network booking team. Yeah, so I'm going to be getting people for interviews for all of the daily shows on CNN, basically. Yeah.
Wow. Again, the more you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hot shot over here.
Okay. I'm very, very excited about it. I would love to give more information. However, I don't really have much more right now.
Okay.
So that's like my my title, and I know that that's what I'm doing, and I'm working in booking, obviously, and securing interviews and like researching for interview questions and stuff like that, and just making sure that we are on brand with like interviews for each daily show, because obviously like they have a different vibe to them. So there's a lot of that, and then obviously I'm going to try to meet as many people as possible and have the best time ever, which I'm sure I will.
Sounds like a plan. Now turning this unfair question onto you now, Jack.
For me, the dream, kind of like I mentioned before a little bit, it's definitely narrative work. I have a couple adaptations that I'd love to make at some point. One of them being Fahrenheit 451 was one of the first books I really fell in love with in ninth grade. And I think just even like socially at a time where like AI is so big and like this promise of digital future and we're not reading as much anymore, that story I think is perfect for hopefully in the next 10 years. That's the dream though, so we'll see what happens. But my plan is to start writing the script this summer, and I already have a pitch deck made for one of my grad courses, so hopefully start working on it and keep my back pocket, I think, for a future time, because I'd love to direct it too, and I don't see anyone giving a first-time director however much millions of dollars that movie's going to cost, but that's the dream for me. And then even trying to direct TV episodes for narrative stuff and scripted series, and just I would love to direct, love to be a cinematographer, maybe even a combo depending on the budget of the film. And then I've always loved editing. I think it's made me better in every other aspect. So I'd love to maybe start with that, but ideally the set life is for me. And I've learned a lot of that actually from shooting weddings over the summers, the last couple of years. And that's similar to what we talked about with journalism. It's also something you can't ask the bride and groom to kiss again. You just can't do it.
You can.
Reset.
Well, you can, but they're going to really hate you. And it's not going to feel as exciting because they've been waiting their whole life for that. And then you come in with a camera, you're like, can we do it again? It's like, no.
Out of focus.
It's out of focus. It's too bright. It's, someone stood up in front of my shot. So that's like always a stressor whenever I'm shooting weddings. But at the same time, it's similar to everything else. It's taught me how to be fast and be on my game as often as possible during those days, and to make sure you get what you need, and then to be creative at the same time. So that set hustle for me is definitely the most exciting part, just because the spontaneousness of it. Things come up, you see something that you like at a random venue that I've never been to before, and you're like, oh, I really want to get this shot. And then when you're able to get it and you give it to that client, and you may never see them again, but you know that your work has covered their day, the most important day for them so far, in their lives and their romantic connection, and that's just something so magical about that. So I'm really open to anything professionally heading into that narrative dream, but that's ultimately where I'd like to be in a couple decades, hopefully.
Fahrenheit 451. I'm smiling, an English major.
Yes.
And that's a great one, and I like what you're saying, and that doing editing, doing every part of film just makes you better at being. And I know you said you want to direct, and I think that I think of a Christopher Nolan quote where he talks about it's best to learn every aspect of the set. Yeah. And I like that you want to continue to be just inherently curious as a photographer and capturing those moments. Yeah. And having that skill set will only serve you well. So continuing to talk about movies, I'd like to ask you guys your favorite movies.
So my embarrassing answer is that my favorite movie is Pitch Perfect. My real answer that I tell other people is that my favorite movie is Coda. I love both. I really do. They're both my favorites, but Pitch Perfect is always gonna be like top tier, my favorite thing, my comfort movie, everything. So yeah.
The Zicast is a safe space.
And I feel that.
Always feel free.
And I feel that.
To admit your movies. Like a lot of Mamma Mia's come up on here that people are like. I love
Mamma Mia. Incredible. But both my favorite movies do revolve around music in a way.
Which is very fitting.
Yeah.
For me, definitive favorite for a long time has been Shawshank Redemption. It's been like looking at everything holistically in that film, how it came together, how it was made. Passion project from a random book that Stephen King didn't even really love, but Frank Darabont just took it the extra mile. The cast, everyone was relatively young in their careers, which that's been inspiring too. Like they're so established now, you don't look at them that way. But like Morgan Freeman was around for a while, but he wasn't like the biggest thing yet. Tim Robbins wasn't even the biggest thing yet. Frank Darabont, Roger Deakins, cinematographer, he was just still really kind of getting his feet wet in the business. So seeing all those people still at such a high bar so early has been inspiring. It's also been kind of terrifying because I'm like comparing to myself, like I'd like to be somewhat close to that at that age, but at the same time, everyone follows their own path. So just that film's always been super inspiring. You mentioned Christopher Nolan, Inception's up there for me. The Shining as a horror film, that was really one of my first forays into horror, and I love Stanley Kubrick. And yeah, I have a long list on Letterboxd, but those are like my top 3. No Country for Old Men, I could keep going, but yeah.
Or if you need any more, you could just look at your sweatshirt.
Yeah, true.
You got
the whole A24 slate on here. So I think this is up and through like 2022. I think so.
I was gonna say they have to stop making them because you have that sweatshirt.
I know they gotta retire. They gotta quit with their head. But
yeah,
one of my favorite studios too.
They need to send you more. You could just,
like little stickers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to admit, every time you wear that, my eyes always just glance at, like just reading it through.
I didn't realize how many titles they actually have. Because they started well before 2014. I think 2012 was their first like independent release for them. But I just love how they're so varied. They go after, and granted, they're not really independent anymore, but they still target those independent filmmakers at least.
Yeah.
Like once maybe they've made their bigger break at like Sundance or even a smaller festival, they're like, hey, we love you as a creator. What's your next idea? And then they'll throw support behind their next idea, and they'll give them a budget for it. But the fact that they're looking for that talent, they're not just going right to the top bar. They're finding people who are every day from anywhere around the country, even internationally. So I love that hopefully they keep doing that. I know they've promised bigger budget films.
Yeah.
I think if they bring that same mentality to it, even like with Civil War this year,
I was just about to say.
They still kept that independent energy to it while still giving it almost $50 million to make it. So I think hopefully if they keep that, it'll be a nice beacon of light in the industry that sometimes throws too much money at certain things, maybe when they shouldn't. But yeah, I love that independent spirit from them. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, the spirit's there, and like Civil War, it's like a huge action movie, but it's also so smart in so many ways.
Yeah.
That's very much what A24 is. Not to take us on an A24 tangent.
Yeah, because I keep going
as we wrap things up. But do you guys have anything to add before we conclude things here?
Wow, that's broad.
Any parting words?
I don't know. I mean, I'm like I guess that if like anyone younger is listening that goes here and everything, my biggest word of advice would be to PA on a capstone before it's your turn. I was a PA on Sadie's speech, which was last year, and I was there every single day of the shoot and the entire time, every time. I think I even skipped a class for it. Don't do that, but it was fine. I could miss it. But I felt so much calmer after seeing that and after like witnessing it, because you come into the school knowing that you're working up to doing your capstone, like knowing that this is your full year-long project, and it's a lot and it's crazy, and you're on your own aside from the advisors helping. Ash was incredible. Ash was our advisor, and she was absolutely incredible and kept us all sane and was the best ever, as she always is. But like, other than that, you're pretty much on your own. So like you're crowdfunding on your own, and you're working on your own, and you have to figure everything out, and there's not always a class for that. There's not a class for every position. There's not a class to make your group work well together. Like everything you have to do is figuring it out as you go. And we worked on it for a little over a year in total from when we made our group and everything. But when you're told as a freshman that this is your future and that's like this is gonna happen, it's like scary. And it's one of those things where you never think it's gonna be your turn. Like, you know it will, but it's still like, oh, but like I'm 18, like that's stupid. No. But then you're like, no, you're not anymore. You're a senior, so it's your turn. And there's so many of those moments. So like obviously like graduation is one of them too, where it's like, well, I'm gonna keep watching people do it, but I'm never gonna do it. That's no. But the capstone was definitely that, where I was like, it's us now, like we have to do this. Like even on set I was like, so this isn't real. Like these people aren't here. Like this is not real. This is not happening yet. Like that's crazy. And not in a scary way, and more of just like a how did I get here so fast way. And being a PA on Sadie's speech made me understand the process so much more, even just being there for the 5 or 6 days that it was. Like I didn't know anything about the process making it. I didn't know anything about pre-production. I didn't know anything other than Liz telling me some things that she was doing with the schedule and everything like that. But Audrey was really awesome. She let me like shadow her, and because I wanted to direct and she was directing, and watching her work with the actors, watching her run a set, watching the group work together because they were all really close, like they were really good friends, watching all of it, and then being a PA showed me so much on it. And I honestly think that I would have been 8 times more overwhelmed and stressed if I didn't watch that happen. And like they like always tell you like it's a great experience, anything's a great experience. That was a great experience because that was my first real set that I felt like you said, like with baby shoes, like that's how it felt. And I felt so professional and cool. I was like, I got up at 4 a.m. today because I'm going to set. That's really cool. But like it is. It was really cool. And like I was hands on with everybody. Like I was shadowing Audrey at one time, and then I was helping put together a bouquet of flowers with Caroline for production design a second later. And like all of it was helpful, no matter what I wanted to do. And yeah, I was just like, that is my biggest piece of advice. If you're in film and you're younger, get to PA on a set because it changes everything.
Yeah, that was really good. I don't know if I can follow that.
Follow that up, yeah.
Thanks.
I'd say for my piece of advice, same thing. Anyone younger, even graduating, moving on, especially because here it's so, maybe easy is not the right word because it's still tough, but it's so easy to get pulled into something that is creative because you're constantly surrounded by people here, even in your dorm. Once you graduate, it's a little empty. You're kind of on your own. You're figuring out your own career, and you don't come back to a busy dorm. You don't go to the dining hall together. So I'd say even if you're coming in fresh right in as a freshman or leaving as a senior, keep motivating yourself. Keep finding things that you're passionate about. Watch them, study them, read them, and don't even make it feel like it's work. Just like enjoy it for what it is. Find the things that make you feel that certain way that keeps you in this business or keeps you wanting to be in this business. And then just watch them, be inspired by them, think about original ideas, also think about ideas that you could maybe adapt for yourself, and then channel that into any work you can find, and then keep creating things. Don't be intimidated by, and I find myself in this position a lot, don't be intimidated by a lack of a certain skill you might have. I'll look at a job description and see, oh, you need Adobe After Effects. Like, I don't know Adobe After Effects, and I don't want to. I hate the program, but don't be intimidated by that. At the same time, like, those people, if you find that position, that internship, that job offer, or even just on campus, like I was never in Q30, but Q30, same thing, After Effects, but even just holding a camera, being on set, even being on air, being a talent, when maybe you only wanted to be behind the camera, which for me, that was something that I had never really expected to be an actor, and not that I'm very good, but just getting that experience, and using that to motivate yourself into your own work. And motivation can come from a lot of things, but you have to actively choose to still be motivated. People can really get you so far. You can get hyped up in that, big speech at the end of the third act or something to get you to run on that field, but you still have to actually run. So that's something that I think as long as you keep that in the back of your head, even if you're feeling like a little down or like you're not being creative enough or you're not where you want to be yet, just keep creating things and you'll get to that place that you want to be in. So that'd be my words of wisdom, I guess.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wonderful messages, guys. I have so much material for Rails now.
I'm glad.
But in all seriousness, that was amazing to hear. It really speaks to kind of what you both have meant to me. You're both great inspirations. Both taught me a lot.
That's very
Thank
sweet.
you. Yeah.
Baby Shoes was
I'm
amazing.
glad you've done that.
So thank you guys, and I'm just excited to continue tracking your careers and what you all do. And same to you, Ryan. Thank you for always clutching it up for me. I appreciate it.
And likewise, Ryan, you got this going for a while, and I'm excited to see when you guys come up through the ranks and end up working on your senior capstone. I'm going to be elated to see what you guys do.
Yeah.
It's going to be so much fun.
You can read my English exam that I'm going to have.
But even then, still, it's something different, and I'd love to see what you guys do. It's going to be so much fun.
Of course.
And just one thing, I think that clutching it up is probably the best compliment anyone could get. That was really inspiring. That was really great.
Clutching it up.
Yeah.
Clutching it up.
I'm going to say that now.
He came through in the end. Came through in crunch time for me, so thank you, Ryan. And of course, thank you guys again.
Of course, thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. As always, this is Ryan Ziaks with the Zicast, where everyone has a story. Signing off. Thank you so much for watching.